Today, we're breaking down the 5 levels of car tuning, from harmless laptop tweaks to full-blown mechanical surgery that'll make your bank account file for emancipation. Whether you're just trying to make your car feel a little less like a rental, or you've decided sleep is overrated and 600 horsepower sounds therapeutic, every level comes with its own mix of excitement, regret, and mechanical trauma. Buckle up, subscribe, and after this video, go get gas. Let's start with Level 1. Soft Touch Tuning. Welcome to the tuning world, where your completely stock car gets its first taste of what it could become with just a gentle digital massage. This is tuning for the cautious enthusiast who wants to dip their toes in the water without diving headfirst into the deep end of voided warranties and potential engine explosions. Think of it as giving your car a cup of coffee instead of injecting it with pure adrenaline. The beauty of soft touch tuning lies in its subtlety and reversibility, making it the perfect starting point for anyone who's ever looked at their factory car and thought it could use just a little more personality. Modern vehicles come from the factory with conservative tuning that prioritizes emissions compliance, fuel economy, and the driving abilities of your grandmother, who still signals for 3 blocks before turning. Manufacturers design their ECU maps to work flawlessly in Death Valley heat and Arctic cold, with gasoline that might have been refined from crude oil discovered during the Jurassic period. This means there's usually some performance left on the table, just waiting for someone brave enough to unlock it. The process involves connecting a laptop to your car's diagnostic port and gently massaging the engine control unit's parameters like a digital chiropractor working out the kinks in your car's electronic spine. The throttle response gets sharpened so your car doesn't feel like it's thinking about your input for 3 business days before reacting. Ignition timing gets minor adjustments to help the engine burn fuel more efficiently, and the air-fuel ratio receives subtle tweaks that make everything run cleaner and more responsive. These changes are so mild that most people couldn't tell the difference by looking under the hood, but the driver immediately notices that their car feels more alive and eager to respond. It's like the difference between a sleepy person and that same person after their morning coffee, alert and ready to tackle the day. The modifications are typically done using off-the-shelf maps that have been tested on thousands of similar vehicles, making them relatively safe and predictable. Your car retains all of its factory reliability and daily drivability while gaining that extra bit of enthusiasm that makes every drive just a little more enjoyable. This level of tuning appeals to the practical enthusiast who wants their car to feel better without turning it into a temperamental race machine that requires premium fuel and constant attention. Level 2. Stage 1 Mapping. This is where things get serious and your car finally gets to stretch its legs properly for the first time since rolling off the assembly line. This represents the most popular entry point into real performance tuning because it delivers substantial gains without requiring you to crack open the engine bay with a wrench or explain to your significant other why car parts are being delivered to your house daily. Stage 1 tuning is essentially giving your car's brain a complete software upgrade, like updating from dial-up internet to fiber optic broadband. The factory ECU gets completely reprogrammed with custom software that takes full advantage of every component already installed on your vehicle. Modern engine management systems are incredibly sophisticated pieces of technology that are capable of far more than the conservative factory. Programming allows them to achieve manufacturers leave enormous amounts of performance on the table because they need to account for terrible fuel quality, extreme climates, and drivers who think regular maintenance means checking if there's still some color left in the oil. A proper Stage 1 tune throws those overly cautious parameters out the window and optimizes everything for enthusiast driving with quality fuel, and proper maintenance turbocharged vehicles see the most dramatic improvements because the factory boost levels are often hilariously conservative, sometimes running barely half of what the turbocharger and engine internals can safely handle. The tune increases boost pressure within safe limits while reshaping the entire torque curve to deliver power more smoothly and aggressively throughout the rev range. Throttle response becomes immediate and linear, eliminating the factory lag that makes acceleration feel like you're asking your car politely to please consider going faster when convenient. The boost control logic gets completely rewritten to build pressure more efficiently and hold it more consistently, transforming lazy turbo response into sharp, immediate power delivery. Naturally aspirated engines benefit from optimized ignition timing timing, improved throttle mapping, and more aggressive fuel delivery that helps them breathe more freely and rev more eagerly. The results are typically impressive, with most vehicles seeing power gains between 10 and 30%, depending on how conservative the factory tune was to begin with. German vehicles often see the largest improvements because their engineers apparently designed the engines for unlimited autobahn speeds, but then programmed the ECU for driving in school zones. The car drives noticeably better everywhere, with improved acceleration, smoother power delivery, and often better fuel economy during normal driving because the engine operates more efficiently. Stage 1 tuning provides the best power per dollar ratio in the entire modification spectrum, delivering substantial performance improvements for the cost of a software update. Level 3, Stage 2, enhancement. I know, Level 3 and Stage 2 look like they'd counteract each other, but guess what? You don't make the rules. This marks the point where your car stops being purely stock and starts its transformation into something the factory never intended. This is where enthusiasts begin opening their wallets wider and their engine bays start accumulating aftermarket components that actually change how the car breathes, exhausts, and manages heat. Stage 2 represents the sweet spot for many tuning enthusiasts because it provides significant performance gains while maintaining reasonable reliability and daily drivability. The modifications focus on removing the bottlenecks that prevent the engine from reaching its full potential, starting with the exhaust system that probably sounds like it was designed by someone who thought cars should whisper politely rather than announce their presence with authority. A high-flow downpipe replaces the restrictive factory piece that was designed more for emissions compliance than performance, allowing exhaust gases to escape more freely and reducing back pressure that limits power output. The factory intercooler, which was probably sized to cool a refrigerator rather than handle serious boost levels, gets replaced with a larger unit that can actually manage the heat generated by increased performance. Intake systems replace the factory airbox that seems designed to muffle any exciting sounds the engine might want to make, while ensuring the engine receives a steady diet of cool, dense air. The exhaust system gets a complete overhaul, with either a catback system or full exhaust that not only improves flow, but also provides the soundtrack that makes driving enthusiasts smile involuntarily. Stronger spark plugs replace the factory units because the increased performance demands more robust ignition components that won't give up under pressure. The tune takes advantage of all these hardware improvements to push boost levels higher, advance timing more aggressively, and optimize fuel delivery for the improved airflow characteristics. The result is a significantly more powerful and responsive vehicle that sounds properly enthusiastic about its job. Power gains at this level typically range from 20 to 50% over stock, depending on the platform and how restrictive the factory setup was initially. The car becomes noticeably quicker in all driving situations, with improved throttle response, stronger mid-range power, and an exhaust note that actually sounds like it belongs on a performance vehicle rather than a golf cart. Stage 2 builds represent the most popular stopping point for many enthusiasts because they provide excellent performance improvements while maintaining reasonable reliability, acceptable fuel economy, and the ability to daily drive without constant drama or maintenance. Level 4, High Boost Hybrid Build. This is where your car officially graduates from enthusiast toy to legitimate weapon of mass acceleration, and where your bank account begins its slow descent into automotive purgatory. This represents the point of no return, where you can no longer pretend you're just making minor modifications to improve daily driving because your car now produces enough power to rearrange the molecular structure of your tires on command. At this level, the factory turbocharger that seemed adequate for Stage 2 gets unceremoniously evicted from the engine bay and replaced with something that sounds like a jet engine having an asthmatic attack when it spools up. Hybrid turbos take the factory housing and stuff it with larger compressor wheels and turbine sections that can move enough air to pressurize a small building, while full big turbo setups abandon any pretense of subtlety and install compressors large enough to be visible from space. The supporting modifications required at this level read like a shopping list written by someone with a serious automotive addiction and access to unlimited credit fuel pumps get upgraded to units that could probably supply a small gas station because the factory pump was designed for sipping fuel politely rather than chugging it like a college freshman at spring break. Fuel injectors grow to sizes that would make diesel mechanics nod approvingly, capable of delivering enough fuel to power a small aircraft while maintaining precise control over mixture ratios. The intercooler becomes a massive heat exchanger that dominates the front of the car, like some sort of automotive air conditioning unit designed by engineers who clearly never heard the phrase good enough. Boost controllers replace the factory wastegate logic with electronic precision that can manage pressure levels that would make the original engineers weep into their conservative design specifications. Intake management manifolds get swapped for aftermarket pieces designed to flow enough air to ventilate a warehouse, often featuring runners tuned for specific power bands and plenum volumes calculated by people with advanced degrees in fluid dynamics. The custom dyno tuning required at this level involves hours of careful adjustment, where skilled technicians gradually increase boost pressure while monitoring dozens of parameters to ensure the engine doesn't decide to redistribute its internals across the engine bay in a spectacular display of metallurgical failure. The results are nothing short of transformational, with power gains often doubling or tripling the factory output, creating acceleration that pins you to your seat and makes passengers question their life choices. The car becomes capable of performance that rivals supercars, costing 10 times as much. But this newfound capability comes with responsibilities and complications that separate the serious enthusiasts from the weekend warriors. Heat management becomes a critical concern because the massive power output generates thermal loads that can overwhelm cooling systems designed for factory power levels. Fuel quality becomes non-negotiable because these highly tuned engines are as sensitive to poor gasoline as a Formula One driver is to track conditions, requiring premium fuel with octane ratings that cost more per gallon than some people spend on lunch. The driving experience transforms from spirited enthusiasm to barely controlled violence, where throttle inputs must be measured carefully because the engine produces enough torque to overcome traction at will. Daily drivability begins its slow retreat as the car develops preferences for warm weather, high-octane fuel, and drivers who understand the difference between part throttle cruising and full boost mayhem. Level 5. Full-built motor tune, the final boss of tuning. This represents the absolute pinnacle of automotive insanity, where rational decision-making goes to die and your car transforms into something that would make race car drivers nervous about their career choices. This is the level where you stop making modifications and start conducting complete automotive reconstructive surgery on an engine that bears only a passing resemblance to whatever the factory originally installed. The engine block gets torn down to its component atoms and rebuilt with internals forged from materials typically reserved for aerospace applications or medieval weaponry. Forged pistons replace the factory cast units with components machined to tolerances measured in thousandths of inches, designed to withstand combustion pressures that would turn stock pistons into expensive confetti. Connecting rods get upgraded to forged steel pieces that look like they could double as medieval maces, engineered to transfer the violent forces of high boost combustion without deciding to exit the engine block through unconventional pathways. The crankshaft often receives attention with either extensive modification or complete replacement with units designed for power levels that make the original engineers question their conservative approach to metallurgy. Fuel systems undergo complete overhauls, with pumps that sound like industrial equipment and injectors large enough to be mistaken for small rocket nozzles, capable of delivering fuel flow rates that rival commercial aircraft. The cooling system gets expanded into a complex network of radiators, heat exchangers, and circulation pumps that could probably maintain comfortable temperatures in a small office building while managing the thermal output of an engine producing race car levels of power. Standalone engine management systems replace the factory ECU, with computers more sophisticated than the guidance systems on early space missions, featuring hundreds of adjustable parameters and the ability to control every aspect of engine operation with NASA-level precision. The turbocharger setup often involves units so large they require custom fabrication and mounting solutions, producing boost pressures that would make atmospheric scientists take notes while generating enough airflow to power wind instruments. Transmissions receive similar attention with complete rebuilds, featuring clutch packs designed for drag racing applications and gear ratios, optimized for the specific power characteristics of the heavily modified engine. The tuning process becomes an art form practiced by specialists who charge hourly rates comparable to medical professionals and spend days carefully optimizing every parameter, while the engine undergoes testing that resembles controlled explosions more than traditional automotive operation. The finished product produces power numbers that belong in professional racing series, with acceleration times that make motorcycle riders reconsider their transportation choices and top speeds limited more by aerodynamics and driver courage than mechanical capability. However, this ultimate expression of automotive modification comes with the reliability characteristics of a temperamental racehorse and maintenance requirements that make yacht ownership seem economical by comparison. The car demands constant attention, premium everything, and drivers who understand that every startup requires the same careful preparation ritual typically reserved for launching spacecraft or conducting delicate surgical procedures. And there you have it, the 5 levels of car tuning, from mild caffeine boosts to full engine exorcisms. If you enjoyed watching normal cars evolve into financial black holes, check out the video on screen for more automotive chaos. Don't forget to subscribe and comment below what level your car's currently at or how deep you are into pretending you'll stop after this next mod.